There's a certain silence between two souls that speaks louder than any confession. A look held too long, a laugh that lingers, a touch that doesn't happen, but almost does. And in that pause, something ancient flickers. You feel it, don't you? That deep pull, the ache of something unspoken. The truth is, when someone's heart is already yours, you won't hear it from their lips, but you will feel it in the hidden language of emotion. Here's a question to sit with. Have you ever loved someone who was too afraid to show they loved you back? If that strikes a chord, type, "I've seen the signs," even in silence in the comments below. Let's see how many of us have stood in that sacred uncertainty. And before we journey further, if this resonates with the quiet parts of your soul, tap the like button, not for me, but for the invisible bonds we carry and the truth we're about to uncover together. What if I told you that the heart often speaks in riddles, and Stoicism knew this long before modern psychology, that ancient philosophers believed love, when suppressed, becomes not weaker, but more potent, more poetic, more eternal. In this video, we'll delve into the hidden signs that someone's heart is already yours, even when fear or pride locks their truth away. You'll discover 8 deeply emotional cues that may seem ordinary at first, but when viewed through the lens of Stoic wisdom, reveal something timeless, something sacred. We're not here for cliches, not the usual "he likes you if he texts first" noise. This is about the subtle storms in the soul, the trembling under calm. We'll walk through philosophy, emotion, and lived experience, weaving ancient insight with modern reality. And in the end, you'll not only understand the signs, you'll feel seen, validated, perhaps even healed. Because this isn't just a list, it's a remembering, a rediscovery of the language of the soul, one that whispers through glances, pauses, contradictions, and all the things left unsaid. And perhaps, as we go deeper, you'll find that someone, somewhere, has already been loving you in silence. Shall we begin? In the cold marble halls of ancient Rome, where the air was heavy with incense and echoes of empire, the Stoics whispered truths that were not meant for the faint of heart. They didn't write about love in the way we do today, wrapped in fairy tales or framed by fleeting desire. No, for the Stoics, love was fire beneath restraint, a noble agony of the soul where one's deepest affections often remained unspoken, not because they were absent, but because they were sacred. Epictetus once said, "If someone is attached to you, let them be so in freedom, not in clinging, but in stillness." What he meant is that the purest form of connection isn't always expressed outwardly. It's held silently in the mind, in the choice to not speak, for fear that words may diminish what the heart holds infinite. In ancient times, showing emotion, especially among the Stoics, was not a weakness, but neither was it paraded. The Stoics believed in eupatheiai, good emotions, a state where love, joy, and kindness existed in harmony with reason. True love, in their eyes, wasn't impulsive or possessive. It was measured, intentional, and sometimes profoundly silent. To feel deeply and yet not let that feeling control you, that was strength. Yet here's the paradox. Those who practiced Stoicism were not devoid of love. In fact, they often felt more deeply than others. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and philosopher, kept a private journal, his Meditations, where he spilled love for his family, mentors, and friends, not in grand proclamations, but in reverent reflections. There was no need for performance. Love to him was not to be flaunted. It was to be lived, even when hidden. And long before Rome, across the sands of time, ancient Egyptians etched similar truths into stone. Love was seen as divine madness, a force so powerful the gods themselves weren't immune. But even then, the heart's affections were often cloaked in riddles, expressed through ritual, gesture, silence. This hidden nature of love is not a flaw. It is an echo of ancient wisdom. The idea that when love is real, it rarely needs to scream. It waits, it watches, it endures, it speaks in gestures others might miss. A lingering gaze, a hand that almost reaches for yours. A sudden distance not out of rejection, but out of fear that closeness might reveal too much. In the Eastern philosophies, too, in the Tao, in Zen, love is often likened to water. It moves around obstacles. It doesn't demand, it flows. And sometimes that flow is invisible beneath the surface. But it is no less powerful. This ancient perspective has been buried in our modern age of instant validation and overt affection. Today, we are taught to doubt what is not visible, to fear what is not spoken. But ancient wisdom tells us otherwise. The deepest truths are the ones most hidden. The deepest loves, the ones least declared. So when someone seems distant, but always remembers the little things, when they tease, but never mock, when they disappear, only to return at your darkest hour, that is not confusion. That is not inconsistency. That is hesitation, born of reverence. In the Stoic sense, they are torn between emotion and reason, heart and discipline. They are not heartless. They are careful. And perhaps unknowingly, they've already given you their heart. Quietly, completely. And now, through this lens, through the eyes of the ancients, we begin to see. The signs are there, always were, but it takes stillness to recognize them. Shall we look deeper? To see the signs, you must stop listening with your ears and start feeling with your soul. The ones who love you but are afraid to show it do not confess. They reveal, quietly, unintentionally, but unmistakably, and the first sign is in their eyes, not just in how they look at you, but in how they look away. The Stoics taught us that our emotions are reflected not in grand declarations, but in the smallest moments of restraint. When someone holds your gaze a second too long, and then breaks it as if they've seen something they're not ready to admit. That's not a lack of courage. That's reverence. You've touched a place in them they weren't prepared to open. Seneca once said, "A great mind becomes a great lover, not because it seeks possession, but because it understands the weight of connection." They avoid staring too long because the feeling is too real, too raw, and yet they look back when they think you're not watching. Another sign, they remember what you forget. The way you like your tea, the song you once mentioned in passing, the nervous way you laugh when you're unsure. These details cling to them, not because they try to memorize them, but because their heart does it automatically. That's the soul's way of saying, this person matters. But they may never admit why. Their silence is not absence, it's protection. Third, they pull away just when things get close. You laugh together, something shifts, the air grows still, and they change the subject. They make a joke, they pretend it didn't happen, that moment when everything could become something more, and they run from it. Why? Because what they feel is sacred. And sacred things aren't easy to name. Stoicism teaches that the wise are slow to speak, not because they feel nothing, but because they know the weight of what they say. Love is not a word to be thrown into the wind. It's a temple, and some hearts fear the echo that might follow if they open the door. Then there's the conflict between closeness and distance. One moment they're beside you, protective, open, even vulnerable, and the next, they vanish, not out of disinterest, but fear. In Stoic thought, this is the war of logos and pathos, reason and emotion. Their inner discipline pulls them back from what their heart longs to touch. They ghost, not because they've stopped feeling, but because they feel too much, too fast, and it terrifies them. Fifth, they show you sides of themselves they show no one else. They open up about their childhood, their fears, their philosophies, but then they laugh it off, or act like it wasn't a big deal. Pay attention. The Stoics believed vulnerability was a choice of the strong. To share one's inner world, even for a moment, is not accidental. It's a quiet offering, a key handed to you when they don't even realize they've opened the door. Another clue lies in their defensiveness. When the conversation flirts with deeper territory, do you care about me? Or what are we? They resist. They might get frustrated, change the subject, even push you away, not because they don't feel it, but because they do, and they're afraid of what it would mean if they admitted it. To love under fear is like holding fire bare-handed, and many souls would rather stay cold than risk the burn. And then there's their protectiveness, subtle, often disguised as logic or care. They walk you home. They make sure you text when you arrive safely. They notice when your voice trembles and quietly offer comfort, not loudly, but in small gestures that seem like coincidence. But they're not. Stoic love, after all, is not about control. It's about watching over. It's not in saying, "I need you," but in making sure you're okay, even when they're not around. Lastly, for now, you feel it. That inexplicable pull, that sense that something unspoken lives between you. You can't prove it, you can't name it, but it's there, as if your soul is reading a language your mind doesn't fully understand. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What is not visible is often most real." In a world obsessed with clarity, we've forgotten the beauty of uncertainty, of waiting, of sensing, and in that space, many hearts have already been given away without ever saying a word. These are not just emotional quirks. They are signals from a deeper plane, echoes of an ancient truth that love, when real, does not rush. It waits, it watches, it weaves itself into silence, and yet there is more. Because the heart that hides love does not do so without reason. The fear, the hesitation, the inner conflict, all hold deeper mysteries. Shall we keep going? Why does someone hold back love that is clearly felt? Why does the heart, once certain, retreat into shadows? To understand this, we must look not at the surface of the soul, but beneath it, into the depths where ancient fears sleep and modern wounds still echo. The Stoics believed that much of human suffering stems not from events, but from our interpretation of them. So too, in love. When a person hides their feelings, it's not always because the emotion is weak. It's because the narrative around it is terrifying. They fear what may happen after the confession, what may change, what may be lost. One of the most hidden signs that their heart is already yours lies in their fear of losing control. Love, to a Stoic mind, is chaos disguised as beauty. It is unpredictable, and to those who have built their lives around order, reason, and discipline, the presence of someone who makes their heart tremble is not thrilling. It's destabilizing. Imagine someone who has spent their entire life building walls. quietly, stone by stone. Perhaps they've been abandoned before. Perhaps they've watched love used as a weapon. Or maybe they simply learned long ago that emotions can't be trusted, and then you appear, not as a storm, but as a soft wind, not as fire, but as warmth. And everything begins to shift. They smile less easily around you, not out of discomfort, but because they're overthinking every word, every gesture. They're calculating what it means, what you mean, and what it would cost to let go. Another paradox arises. They act indifferent when you pull away. This may be the most painful illusion of all. You withdraw, hoping they'll chase you, hoping they'll finally admit it, but they don't. Not because they've stopped caring, but because they think stepping back is an act of love. They believe letting you go is proof of your freedom. They've read the old philosophies, love without possession, love without demand, and now they stand in silent agony, mistaking absence for virtue. Yet inside them, a storm brews. Seneca once warned, sometimes to protect what we value most, we pretend it means less. So when they act cold, know this: it may not be apathy. It may be self-defense. Their logic whispers that if they can just numb the feeling, it won't consume them. You'll also notice they avoid vulnerable timing. You call at midnight, they don't answer. You share something deep, they change the subject. Why? Because late at night, or in moments of emotional openness, the mask might slip. The feelings they've buried so deeply begin to rise, and they're not ready to face them, much less share them. They may even talk about love in general, philosophically, jokingly, but never directly about you. They'll say things like, "Love's complicated," or "I'm not good at relationships." These are shields. Misleading, yes. But if you listen closely, you'll hear the tremor underneath. Because here's the truth. People don't hide what they don't feel. They hide what they do. The deeper the emotion, the more likely it is to be buried under layers of doubt, fear, and internal conflict. Stoicism teaches us to observe the self, to know our tendencies, our traps. So when someone hesitates to show love, it may be because they're locked in their own struggle. They want to be stoic in the face of chaos. And yet you are the beautiful storm breaking their stillness. And here's a hidden sign most overlook. They give you freedom. They never try to possess you. They never ask you to change. They may even push you toward others, speak lightly about your dating life, or encourage your independence. But this isn't apathy. This is the Stoic's paradox: to love without chaining, to cherish without holding. It's excruciating, and it's real. They believe that if what exists between you is true, it will return. If not, it was never meant to be. So they love you, in silence, in distance, in shadow, and yet you'll feel them everywhere. In the song they once sent you, in the phrase they always used, in the stillness after you part ways, where their energy still lingers like incense in an ancient temple. The modern world tells us that love should be loud, fast, and easy to label. But the ancients knew better. They knew that the greatest truths are often the most veiled, that the deepest feelings wear the quietest masks. So if someone's heart is already yours, but they're afraid to show it, don't look for fireworks. Look for flickers. Look for the pauses, the slips, the subtle patterns. They are there. In the next part, we'll reveal how to navigate this space, how to bring clarity without pressure, how to honor their fear without silencing your truth, and how to awaken their hidden love gently, without force. To draw out a hidden heart is not to demand, nor to pry. It is to invite, gently, patiently, like coaxing a wild bird to land on your open palm. No sudden movements, no loud declarations, just presence, stillness, and quiet understanding. If their heart is already yours, but they are afraid to show it, you must first master your own stillness. This is the essence of Stoicism, to remain grounded, not because you are unaffected, but because you choose not to be ruled by storms you cannot control. When you sense their hesitation, don't chase. Chasing turns sacred emotion into survival. Instead, become the safe harbor. The soul can only unfold where it feels unjudged, where it is not rushed into exposure. So be steady. Show them, not through words but through energy, that your presence does not require confession. The first technique is the art of emotional mirroring. This does not mean copying their distance, but matching their tempo. If they pull back slightly, you don't collapse. You honor the space while keeping your warmth alive. A kind smile, a sincere message with no demand for reply. This tells them, I see you. I honor your pace. I'm not going anywhere. Remember, those who fear love most often crave it most deeply. Their silence is a test, not of your love, but of your presence in the unknown. Second, shift from confrontation to invitation. Don't ask, do you love me? Ask, what makes you feel safe with someone? This opens a door instead of pressing them against a wall. Questions that seek understanding instead of answers disarm the guarded heart. They're not afraid of you. They're afraid of being seen too clearly. You can also use subtle affirmations. Speak in truths that resonate without pressing. Say things like, some people love deeply but fear what it might change. I admire people who feel strongly but hold it with grace. These are like seeds you plant in their mind. They might not respond right away, but the soul hears, and it stirs. Another powerful practice is to hold presence during silence. If they disappear emotionally or physically, resist the urge to fill the void. The Stoics called this apatheia, not indifference, but the peace that comes from detachment, not chasing, not begging, just being. And when they return, as they often do, you welcome without bitterness. You do not punish their fear. You meet them where they are, and in doing so, you teach them what safety feels like. You must also care for your own heart, because while they may be hiding love, you are living it. That weight must be held with grace. Practice journaling the emotions they cannot yet receive. Pour your feelings onto the page, not their shoulders. Let the ink hold what the silence cannot. This is not weakness. It is sacred preparation. You're not suppressing your love. You're refining it, making it stronger, steadier, more patient. You're becoming the space in which love, even when hidden, can breathe. If clarity becomes necessary, if the silence grows too loud, you may speak. But speak not to extract, speak to reveal. Say, I sense there's something between us, and I hold it with care. I'm not asking for a confession. I only want to honor the truth, whatever it may be. Such words pierce gently, like sunlight through morning fog, and even if they do not respond, you have offered truth without demand. That is power. You may also use rituals to anchor your energy. Light a candle each night and sit in silence, visualizing not what they should say, but the love already present in the unseen. This is not fantasy. It is spiritual alignment. You're anchoring your vibration in calm, not chaos. And always, return to yourself. Love them, yes, but do not abandon you in the process. The Stoic path is not self-sacrifice. It is self-honor. If their fear leads them to never act, you must have the strength to keep walking, without bitterness, without anger. You bless them in your heart, and you release them into their own journey. Because the greatest love is not in waiting forever. It's in being love itself, regardless of the outcome. Sometimes your strength, your steadiness, your silence is what awakens them. You do not need to shake them into clarity. Your peace speaks louder than pressure ever could. And if they are meant to come forward, they will. In their own time, in their own way. And if not, then know this: the love you gave, quietly, courageously, patiently, was never wasted. It became a part of you. It made you deeper, stronger, wiser, and it will echo forward into every soul you meet from here. There are loves that shout, and there are loves that whisper, but the most powerful love, the most unforgettable, is the one that lives in the space between silence and truth. The kind you feel before it's ever spoken. The kind that reshapes you, even if it's never named. So if you've seen the signs, if you've felt the tension between what is seen and what is hidden, know this: you are not imagining things. When a heart belongs to you but is afraid to show it, you become a mirror, reflecting back everything they've buried. It's not your job to fix them. It's not your task to force their hand. Your role is simply to stand still and shine. Love, to the ancient Stoics, was not possession. It was a form of virtue, to will the good of the other, even at the cost of your own desire. To love wisely is to release control, to embrace patience, and to recognize that true intimacy begins within. If they never say it, but always show it. If their presence feels charged with unspoken weight. If their absence lingers more loudly than most people's words. You've already touched their soul, and sometimes that is the point. Not the confession, not the outcome, but the awakening. You were never meant to conquer their fear. You were meant to help illuminate it, to be the light they remember long after the moment has passed. Let this be your parting thought. Just because someone cannot yet name their love does not mean it is not real. Some people must journey through their own shadows before they can step fully into the light. And if you've been the light, soft, steady, unwavering, then you have fulfilled a sacred role. Your love was not wasted. It was transformed. So whether they come back with clarity or drift away still tangled in fear, know that you have become stronger in the process, more attuned, more aware, more whole. You've witnessed a rare thing, the trembling heart, the sacred hesitation, the hidden affection dressed in silence. Most people miss it. You didn't. And now you're free, not just from their confusion, but from the need to grasp, to chase, to prove. Because the love you gave was never for approval. It was an offering. So walk forward now, softly, boldly, with the wisdom of the Stoics in your bones and the courage of love in your chest. And if this message touched something within you, if you've been that silent lover or stood across from one, leave a comment below. I've seen the signs, I've felt the silence. Let others know they're not alone, that there are others out there who understand the beauty and the ache of unspoken love. If this video stirred something deep within you, don't forget to like it. It tells the algorithm that wisdom still matters in this noisy world. And if you feel someone needs to hear this message, share it. Let it find the heart it was meant for. Until next time, walk with stillness, love with wisdom, and listen closely. Even silence has a heartbeat.